And when I was able to actually feel that courage months into my diagnosis, I thought, you know what? I'm not going to be a victim anymore. It doesn't matter why this happened to me. I can be a vine. I can use my story to help other people.
I wanted to start by asking you two tonight, when you were looking to make this film, when it comes to how cancer is represented in film and other pieces of media, how did you find that your story wasn't represented in the way that you would have wanted to be seen?
Well, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2012, I sought out media, film, and TV specifically because I didn't have any contemporaries that were going through it. I was 41 years old and young. And so what I found was troubling and fear-based. And I um I found really beautiful Hollywood movies that have won great accolades, but they start with a diagnosis and they sugarcoat the process and they end in a funeral. And I was more afraid. And I thought that's not fair to all the people that have cancer and are going through these diagnoses. They deserve better. And so I thought, well, if I can ever write a book about it, and if my book can ever become a film, then I can put something in the world that is vacant. And I think that anytime that there's a vacancy in life, somebody's going to put something there. So I'm trying to do that.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you found that these type of stories were represented on screen and how you wanted to tell it differently?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for being here tonight. This is quite meaningful for us. So, um, I really didn't set out to tell a different story about cancer or about anything. When we first met, my background is in understanding the human psychology, the what experiences humans go through, truly, honestly. And when I read Christine's book, Walk Beside Me, there was something felt so natural, so real, as though when she was going through the painful parts of her life, she would be writing it almost as a diary. And I sort of lived those moment by moment, and they were incredibly torturous. It was quite heavy and quite painful. And I couldn't believe that someone who started at the top, and especially in a business such as modeling, where all the physical appearance had to be part of the identity of Christine, and losing all of that. First the breasts, then the hair, then the utterly the look and the confidence that goes away with it as well. And that incredible experience of how humans might go through what really attracted me to this. And indeed, the power of the resilience in which she exhibited, it became like a phoenix bird, rising from the ashes. And I wanted to see how could that happen? What possibly motivates and produces such impact?
Mm.
And that's why.
Yeah, and it's beautiful because, a lot of women, I imagine, when they get a diagnosis like this, some of them must think, my life is over or it's changed forever and it might not ever be the same. And that's a really scary thing to go through. Can you talk to me about how you, especially as you promoted this film over the last 6 to 7 months, you have found that that has not been the case and how your life has changed in a different and maybe even better way?
Well, when I was first diagnosed, I was completely emotionally paralyzed. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to get through this. But then when I had people show up for me, I thought, well, if they're showing up for me, why am I not showing up for me? And so when I started to have some courage, even though I really didn't feel the courage, I was really borrowing it from the community around me. And when I was able to actually feel that courage months into my diagnosis, I thought, you know what? I'm not going to be a victim anymore. It doesn't matter why this happened to me. I can be a vine. I can use my story to help other people. And when I realized that, that gave me even more confidence. And what I was showing myself was being the courage I was showing myself was permeating around my children, and I was showing them courage and not fear. And I realized we can pick, right? We can pick hope or we can pick fear, but we can't have both. And so when I picked hope, I was giving myself a better opportunity to survive this. And everything that I did after that, I wanted to be a vine. And so when I had terrible chemo brain, I went back to school and I wanted to learn to fix my brain. And then I wrote a book because I wanted other people. It was during the time of Bravo's like bringing out all the housewives shows. And I was really mad at them. I was like, why are you showing women tearing each other apart? That's not fair either. So I've always righteous anger about these issues and I want to change them. And so I wrote a book about women showing up for each other. And I thought that could make a splash in the world. And when I lost my chest to breast cancer, and I got all these messages from women all over the world saying how they were so ashamed of it, I went back to modeling. I partnered with Victoria's Secret as a breastless model for them. I walked in Miami Swim Week in a bathing suit at the age of 50 years old. And I decided I can be a vine in the modeling space. I can be a vine in the fashion space. I can be a vine in the film space, even though the film is really difficult to permeate in. But I'm working really hard to try to change that too. So your life doesn't have to stop. It doesn't have to be worse. It can be way better. And I'm proving that every single day. And I hope people are borrowing my courage.
Breast cancer or not, that's impressive. That's an amazing feat. And I love how you said this is kind of like a chick flick too.
It is a chick flick. I mean, where are all the, Steel Magnolia films? They're gone. We need to bring them back.
Did you find what kind of films inspired you when you were trying to make this story? What did you look to for inspiration?
I actually avoided seeing those films.
Oh, okay.
But truthfully, I've seen Steel Magnolia. I've seen Terms of Endearment a long time ago. I didn't have the details in my head, nor did I want to imitate or bring something of the similar nature, because this was its own experience. And I wanted the authenticity to be the absolutely key factor that drove this film, this story. So I really didn't look for any inspiration other than from Christine herself, seeing and believing and knowing that it actually happened. It's not something in which only movies talk about. And again, we didn't deal with a story that is similar to other stories in terms of the dynamics of the families and the friends and all of the different layers that happened here, because we wanted to show that, especially in breast cancer, when a woman, the mother, the keeper of the home, is struck by such a disease, how everything starts falling apart, whether it's the relationship, whether it's the confidence, whether it's the children. And cancer doesn't wait for you when you are so fine and dandy and say, come knocking on your door. It happens it's a beating after a beating in the most challenging of times. But at the same time, it in the process, in dealing with it from all different sides, it becomes a powerful union for everybody to sort of gather to help and reunite a family in trouble. In this case, in Christine's case, anyway.
Yeah, it's a silent thing. When my editor asked me to cover this, I said, my mom had breast cancer. And then my manager right next to me said, my mom did too. And I said, I didn't even realize that. I think it's something that so many people go through, and yet not enough people come forward and talk about it. And even if you don't know someone who's been through it, I think people can watch your story, watch this film, and feel inspired by it and use it as a point of reference for when something like that happens. So when you have both spoken with people on this press tour, when you've been promoting this great film over the last 6-7 months, what are some of the most memorable stories you've heard from people that have come up to you and talked to you about what they've seen?
Mm.
Well, a couple people ask about the cultural difference between me and my ex-husband, and that actually we didn't have that. But the reason we put that in the film was because we want to show the isolation of cancer. And it's very hard in a movie to show that without saying, oh, she felt isolated, which if you know film, you can't say that. You have to show it. And so we thought if we had a different culture as the husband and she felt alone in her own home, then we can show the loneliness that started even before the cancer. And so people are curious about that because, in fact, Tarek Bishara, who plays my husband, said, I want this part badly because he's Palestinian, all the roles that I get are Arabs that get typecasted for bad guys, terrorists. And he was like, thank God somebody's showing of an Arab in a beautiful, as a human, great guy. And we were like, of course, why wouldn't we show that? But from his perspective, he was just elated to be a part of this film for that. But the other thing that has been really interesting for me is I really wanted this movie, obviously, for the parents for the patients and for the community of cancer. And these medical hospitals have been bringing our film around the country. Huge medical systems. Henry Ford Cancer Center, 2 weeks ago, they brought this film to their community as a fundraiser for their cancer center. And they're basically saying, we are listening to your film. We hear you. We want to know what we're doing wrong. So the mean nurse and some of the cold doctors, we want to understand, maybe do collateral changes in our programming and teaching nurses. And so we've been elated to see the community of the medical community jumping on board with this film and really wanted to learn from it.
Yes. One of the yeah.
It's shocking, actually.
We hear a lot of nice things, and one of the things that really pleases me the most is when many of the patients come up and say, I felt seen. Finally, I felt seen. Thank you for telling this story. And that's incredibly heartwarming to hear that you did something in which you allowed somebody to be empowered. So,
Mm. And there's an epidemic going on with breast cancer right now
indeed.
in our country. What have you learned about that in the process of making this?
Well, the largest demographic of women getting breast cancer right now are between the ages of 19 and 39. Let's let that sink in. So it's a timely movie. It's important. And they do feel very lost. They're too young. I was 41 and I'm on the high end of that. So it's really tragic.
What have you learned?
Well, I learned a lot in the making of this. That breast cancer is that silent epidemic that no one is paying any attention to because our world is in an insane kind of situation right now.
Mm.
I won't tell you all the reasons, but it's being pushed aside, including by some of the medical communities that are not really bringing out the light upon it.
Mm.
And therefore, what I saw, and which pleases me, many private organizations that have come together to create a breast cancer awareness or help or support groups. And I was incredibly fascinated that so many of these women who had been impacted have changed their lives, not just to be saying, I am fine, but I want to make sure that every other woman that is going to deal with it, just like Christine does, to be fine. So it's such an incredibly empowering thing to witness from the people who go through it.
Can you talk to me a little bit more about, because I've heard you talk about how, this is shining a light on not just the things that happen inside the hospital, but what happens at home. And that's the part that I think a lot of people might not know about. What are some of the things that are highlighted in this film that you believe was really important to talk about what's happening inside the home when you're going through this process?
It's like Ziad said, when the mom is out, then things start to crumble because, the women do take care of everything. Um, But one thing that I can tell you what happened to me was women are in our culture, I believe, at least for me, are, people say, well, you can do anything. Well, we can, but why can't we have help? And so when I was first diagnosed, I was so afraid to ask for help because that's shame, that's vulnerability. I'm supposed to do it all on my own. Well, that's crap. That's just not true. And so when I had people show up for me and I finally accepted their help and I let my pride and my ego go, my life became much better. So I want to show that help is not just important, but it's okay to ask for it.
What about you? Yes.
They might want to ask some questions.
Yeah. If anyone wants to ask any questions, please. Yeah.
Should we give him a mic or?
Oh, it's got it.
Okay.
Thank you. Hey, folks, very inspiring story. I certainly congratulate you on the thorough work that you've done.
Thank you.
Christine, you are a vine. You've inspired me just by watching this film. What can you share with us, your fight with all the pain that you have?
I'm sorry. What can I share with you from all the pain?
The kind of a fight that you're able to evoke
Wage.
when you had the pain.
Well, it depends on how you react to pain is really what dictated my life. And when I was strangled by fear, I got nowhere. I think that's what your question is. And when I let go of that fear, and I'll tell you why I let go of it. I said to somebody that I knew who was older than me when she was diagnosed, she had been diagnosed 10 years before I was. And I said, when does the fear go away? And she said, I'll let you know. I was like, I cannot be this scared for 10 years. I just cannot. And so I just worked really hard every single day to focus on faith. Even though it was really hard in the beginning, I was very angry. And I mean, it felt like not just my life was changing quickly, but my poor children. I had young kids. I was like, this is not fair to them. And so when I was focused on faith, it took a while to stay focused on faith. It took a while to stay focused on hope. But when your mentality and your your focus changes, it eventually becomes a habit. And for me right now, and for years, I've had this just focus on hope, focus on faith, focus on being a vine. Could have gone the opposite way. But it was really this cognitive judgment decision. Like, I don't want to be that person that's afraid in 10 years.
Well, I could tell you, oncologists today are doing tremendous amount of research, and they're focusing on this precision medicine. And every day there's a new hope.
Yes. Definitely. The cancer world is getting better for sure. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Hello. Thank you so much. It was a great movie. One question: did you have to sit with the actress? Did you exchange?
Yes. So we didn't live in the same city, but we FaceTimed before we were on set. And then once I went to set, I stayed on set for most of the days. There were a couple days if the under the table scene was tough for me because that actually happened. And I didn't go to set that day. But we spent a lot of time talking, and because she's never been, she didn't have children. And so she spent a lot of time asking questions about the dynamic between the kids and things like that. But yeah, she's a very good friend of mine now.
What happened that made you change or gain? Was it because you were thinking about isolation, and when you started speaking with people, you got like kind of energy and force to stop this bad thinking?
Well, I think it does start with a thought and then it continues. It can continue. I think for me, I felt like I was a burden. And I was maybe programmed to not be a burden. I'm supposed to take care of everybody. And when you can't take care of anybody, I couldn't even take care of myself. I mean, there were 2 times in my journey where I couldn't even take a sip of water because both of my arms I couldn't move because they take lymph nodes. It's very complicated. We didn't show it in this. but I couldn't even hold a glass of water and put it to my mouth. Was really dependent on other people. And when you are dependent on other people, your pride gets in the way and there's shame involved. And you feel like I'm supposed to be a mom, I'm supposed to be a wife, and I can't do any of my jobs. And that really got into my head, obviously. And plus, when you're on that type of chemotherapy, those medications can mess with your head as well. So I think it was just this collateral damage where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't keep going. And then fortunately, my friends were like, oh, yes, you can. And you're going to be fine someday.
Lately, the most they were saying usually chemotherapy should not be a solution because it might mutate cancer cells.
Yep.
And then if you identify cancer and you can treat it, then it will be more difficult if somebody does chemotherapy and it would change the composition of the cancer.
Yes, so I've been reading a lot about that lately, and it doesn't look good for me. But I try not to focus on that.
Look, superwoman too.
No, but I know they're making very big strides, and they would have never put me through the chemo today that they did 13 years ago.
That's
Yeah, which is and I have I have heart issues. I have a liver spot. I mean, I lost 3 teeth during chemo. None of this stuff is flattering, but I'm really tired of the social media highlight reels where nobody's telling the truth. And so I'm trying to be very accurate. I lost 3 teeth. I have heart issues. I have a liver spot, and I have collateral damage from the chemo I went through.
Hi, I just want to say you were so inspiring. And
Thank you.
you exude such a vibrance, and after seeing that and everything you've went through, that's just so invigorating, and it just made me so hopeful. It's just seeing that you have been someone that's actually gone through it, not just been like a family member that experiences it. Like that is just so inspiring. And I think
Thank you.
that like this film can speak to not just people who've had cancer, but people who, friends and family. I think so many people have been affected by this. Like, I don't think anyone doesn't know someone who hasn't, experienced that. So,
It's
um,
a big audience.
yeah, it's a huge audience,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Well,
Thank you.
we've had people run out of the theater and go, "Oh, I got to go call somebody," because they want to go be, it's so good to other people. They're just it's like a call to action to go be with somebody who's going through something like this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I just want a second, how did it go about this? How did you go about creating the film from your novel? And were you involved in the screenplay writing, or was there some collaboration, or how was that process, if you don't mind?
No, no. I certainly when I wrote the book to be a film. It was my intention all along. And I just, I think if you manifest something, you can make it come true. Don't get me wrong. Film is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, even harder than chemo. Um, no kidding. It's like hurdle after hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. It's unbelievable. But fortunately, I was introduced to Ziad, who took on the project, and he wrote the screenplay. But we did have lots of conversations, and we signed an agreement in 2018 to make this film. It's 2025. Yeah,
Perseverance.
Persevere and patience and
determination, grit and grace,
and understanding completely and utterly what it is that we're trying to tell. So it just gave us the opportunity to know where the heart is, and how vast it needs to be.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we have so many questions.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that when we started this project to now, the breast cancer rates have gone up so much, and we just thought, wow, this is timely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for this film. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so much to talk about, but I wanted to talk about the title, and if that's what what I got from it instantly. I'm a singer, so I hear words differently. So the relationship between the husband and the wife, it always seemed like he was very encouraging and just constantly, like, I know she was a model, you were a model, but it just seemed like every time he showed up, he was very vocal to her about what she was to him. And then like towards the end when he says hello beautiful, it like melted my heart. So I want to know like is that like was that the title? Was that the meaning of that, or
Mm.
was it one of the meanings? Do you know what I mean?
Um, what would the title of the book was, as I stated, Walk Beside Me. The theme that runs throughout the entire script is, how is beauty measured? Is it an external thing or is it an internal? The entire film is truly a journey, only one journey, going from the external all the way to the internal to understand what true beauty is about. So that whole experience, that cyclical experience that she went through, is what inspired the title, because it's a transformational thing that someone who saw themselves shallow, empty, just the looks, just the physical aspect of it, and then finding the true essence of what makes a human being beautiful. One of the things that we wanted to create is, well, first of all, cancer or breast cancer is not just in the United States. We wanted to internationalize the film in terms of this predicament is not just for here; it's global. And two, I love Lebanese people. We actually were going to film it in Beirut, and that's why we chose that part, especially to place an American inside of a Middle Eastern country to feel furthermore isolated. But then war happened.
They started a war, so we
They started bombing, and we changed our mind. We just moved Beirut to here.
we filmed in Boston.
Thank you.
Somebody's up there.
Hello? You can hear me? Okay. Good. So I got a question for both of you.
Yes.
So how was y'all able to channel your energy into the situation, right, that's present, right, that you're doing, but also revert back into that energy that you had felt during that moment? Because sometimes channeling the energy can be important, but it's like you have to have the intention and things like that. But how was you able to like actually do it? Because for you to be able to smile is like crazy, first of all. I ain't gonna lie. But that's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
Okay. Well, um, you're talking about channeling energies or maintaining or keeping the strength or being able to overcome certain things. And I think it becomes somewhat impeded into our character as we live life and see the struggle and overcome little by little. We sort of have furthermore courage. That borrowed courage that Christine used to have is now completely and utterly within her. She now lends it to others. That channeling of that energy has to be so much willpower to actually be able to sustain it, to maintain it, to harness it, and to unleash it. And this is both, that she continues despite the exhaustion that she feels, for example. So do I. But despite of this, she continues to get up every morning and to do more of the work that she believes in that will help others. That she has created an opportunity for herself to count. That's where channeling the energy comes from, because you valued yourself. You made yourself someone who's important to others. And if you don't wake up and go to do the same thing, then there is something missing in the world. And that's how.
You answered it.
Somebody had their hand up forever back there, and I feel really bad that they don't get to speak, even though they've had it up for 15 minutes.
Thank you. This movie was fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Something that was on my mind was, what was something that you felt was so important during that time while you was going through this whole cancer treatment, and now you look back 5, 10, 15 years later and you're like, that didn't even matter?
Oh, so many things. People's opinions of me.
Very good question. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the sand, the little stuff, you know. I mean, I try not to. When I lost my hair, I said I'm never going to have a bad hair day again. And now I get mad when I need to go get my hair colored. But in general, I used to really care about what people thought of me, and now I really don't. You just kind of let that stuff go. Good question, though.
I have to say, first of all, it was one of the greatest movies that was ever made. I want you to know that.
Wow.
So
Well,
sweet. Thank you.
We're so grateful to
An
you.
Academy Award winner, by the way.
Oh, that's what we're trying to
An
do.
inspiration to the whole world, because
Thank you.
people
That's
are
the
gonna
goal.
live better, and they're going to say, wow, I could survive cancer, and I'm a better person than I was before.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Incredible.
That's a
Really, really
That's
nice.
a very good note to end
Grateful.
on.